When Lily turned 2, my husband cheated with a girl from college. My mother-in-law Dolores said I wasn't worthy of being called a woman, so I stepped aside and let the better woman win. He and the other woman got their marriage license. Victor cheated. Dolores had a stroke. After the scumbag ate state-supplied meals, the other woman dumped the kid and climbed higher. I stood at Dolores's bedside. Tell your brand new daughter-in-law to wait on you. Bro, that college girl last night was choice 800 for the hour. Thanks for the hookup. I'll drain this cup to you. The voice, raspy, familiar, leaked from the earpiece. It was my boyfriend of 6 years. My laundry-soaked hands froze. I shook so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Jesse was cheating. Before we go on, smash subscribe and drop your city in the comments. Only a second earlier he'd cooed. I'll be home early. Babe, the next second. Mommy, my daughter wailed from the living room, yanking my nerves tighter. Jesse and I had fallen in love in high school. At 21, I caught him sexting and broke it off. A month later the test stick showed 2 lines. The doctor warned, skip this baby and you might never get another. I'd already lost one at 19 for him. I texted Jesse. He showed up giddy inside an hour. I perched on the couch while he cried and begged on his knees for me to keep it. He promised he'd be a real dad. And I terrified of missing motherhood, nodded. He was still underage for a license in our state, so we simply had a small commitment ceremony. I moved into his house, but Victor and Dolores treated me like unpaid help. My own mom was busy with her new family and never answered my calls. I spent the whole pregnancy scrubbing and cooking. When our daughter arrived, Jesse sobbed through the delivery. I told myself every cramp had been worth it. The door clicked. Jesse was back. I dried my face, ready to confront him. Honey, I'm home, he sang, smiling like the day we met. I laid out, voice dead steady, what I'd overheard. He exploded, swearing I was slandering an angel. When I demanded his phone, he stammered excuse after excuse. Knowing him, that shuffle meant bullseye. I laughed without humor. Because I won't sleep with you? I'm 22 and you starve me. Of course I went hunting. He slammed the door so hard the frame shook. I sat on the couch until dawn crept in gray. A WhatsApp request pinged, a girly avatar. Within 10 seconds several texts landed. A photo, a bare-shouldered girl. Jesse snoring beside her. He'll never marry you. A kid means nothing. We went all night. He just crashed. Jesse says you make him sick. I already knew he'd cheated, but the zero explanation still winded me. The image punched my gut. I retched until my ribs burned. 6 years ended right there. I drifted on the cushions until 7:30. When the lock turned, Dolores back from her book club. She barged in shrieking. My son steps out. I bankroll it. Curse me if you dare. She yanked my hair so hard my scalp screamed. Can't even keep your husband happy? What kind of woman are you? I felt nothing. Guiltless yet silent. 3 years pregnant or nursing. Zero income, every cent begged had erased my voice. 6 months after Lily, Jesse wanted to sleep together. The memory of labor still haunted me. I said no, but he sweet-talked until I caved. Mid-act he stealthily ditched the condom for his own thrill. I exploded. He sulked, and the topic died. A week later his buddy played messenger. Wives serve. Remember? Wicked witch, wanna suffocate my boy? A news segment on bigamy flickered across my mind. I flashed a smile. Mom, bring Jesse's girl home. Didn't you beg for a grandson? I moved mine and my daughter's things to the spare bedroom and dressed the bed in bridal scarlet. Less than 2 hours later Jesse ushered the other woman in. She looked barely 20, coltish yet calculating, curves defying gravity, waist a red-nailed ribbon of ivory. Right, Jesse's only 22. They match. Dolores beamed and petted her hand. Jesse murmured the same promises he once gave me. The hall mirror threw back a hag in threadbare sweats. Split ends, half forgotten I'm 24 in my prime. No wonder he's nauseated. The saying's true, willing to suffer, and suffering never ends. I smirked inside. Welcome home, husband. The girl rose, victory bright in her eyes. Hand out. Hi, I'm Jesse's girlfriend, Chloe. I shook it. Hey, little Chloe, mind if I call you sis? Her skin was peach and silk. Chloe snorted, wiped her palm on her skirt like I'd left slime. You should call me sis, seniority, right? Embarrassed, I pulled my hand back. I'll start dinner. Husband, take Chloe to the bedroom and see if she likes the sheets. An hour later the dining table was fragrant. My daughter sat on the couch playing with her doll while Dolores watched TV. She didn't even glance at me. Serena, go call Jesse for dinner. I started toward the master bedroom, but before I reached the door I heard sounds that turned my ears red. I raised my hand to knock, and the woman's voice, pleasure edged with pain, suddenly grew louder. The man was panting. Baby, you feel, were they doing this on purpose to provoke me? My hand was still in the air when the door swung open. Chloe stood there in a slip dress, cheeks flushed, crimson marks blooming on her neck. Did big sis come to call me to dinner? Jesse wouldn't let me go. Sorry to keep you waiting. That's your little trick. The harder you work, the louder I'll clap. I raised my voice. Sweetie, looks like your waist's still holding up. Just remember to pace yourselves. When she saw I wasn't rattled, Chloe's face darkened. She gave a cold snort and headed for the table. Jesse right behind her. They were all smiles while they ate the food I'd cooked. Jesse praising it non-stop. Even Chloe mumbled an embarrassed, not bad. I sat off to the side feeding my daughter. Only after they were done did I take my place and eat. I was always the last one to eat. When I finished clearing the leftovers, a light bulb went on. My cooking was good. Why not film some tutorials and post them online? With social media booming, who knew what might happen? Sooner or later a bitter custody battle would erupt. I had to raise my daughter, and I needed money. So the next day at lunch I started recording and teaching myself to edit. The first 2 days were tepid, but once I added voiceover explanations everything shifted. By night 3 my account skyrocketed. It blew up. While Jesse and Chloe partied every night, I kept my head down. When Chloe realized she couldn't get a rise out of me, she lost interest. My follower count kept climbing. Advertisers started DMing me, and within a month I was earning money I'd never dared to dream of. Early one morning, after being gone for weeks, Victor shuffled in. The moment he kicked off his shoes the living room reeked of foot stink. Chloe had just woken from her nap. She stepped out, pinched her nose, and shouted, "What's that stench? Serena, did you fall into a toilet?" I smiled faintly and looked at Victor. The man never washes. Those sneakers haven't seen soap in a year. Once, when our front door was open, a neighbor had yelled, "Man, something reeks." Victor frowned while Chloe kept mouthing off, "Answer me, Serena." Then she snapped her fingers and burst out laughing. "Oh, I get it. Did you crap your pants? Enough." "Yeah. My feet stink. Happy now?" Victor slammed the door and stalked off. Chloe wrinkled her nose in disgust. He still hadn't returned by dinner time. After the meal, same old routine. The mess was mine to clear. I was elbow deep in suds when I heard my daughter crying. I bolted into the living room to find her sitting in a puddle, clothes soaked, wailing for dad. Chloe lolled on the couch with Jesse, legs draped over him, the pair of them making out. My vision tunneled. I scooped my daughter up and roared, "Who did this?" Jesse pinched Chloe's waist and shot me a glare. Lily couldn't even hold a cup steady for Chloe. She slipped. Big deal. Kids don't feel pain like we do. Quit screaming and change her. Wait and see, I hissed. I carried my daughter to the spare bedroom to change. Only then did I realize the water had been boiling. Her tiny hand was lobster red. Yet she hadn't once said, "Mommy, it hurts." Tears spilled. My daughter raised her fingers to wipe my cheeks. "Mommy, don't cry." I forced a smile. "Mommy's okay. Let's get you into dry clothes." She nodded and cooperated. As soon as she was dressed I rushed her to the Thankfully nothing too serious. When we got back, Jesse and Chloe were already asleep. "Jesse, you once dropped to your knees and vowed you'd be a good dad." I rocked my daughter to sleep, then went to the kitchen and slipped a chef's knife from the block. Outside the master bedroom the same obscene moans pulsed through the door. My hand trembled around the handle. "You show no mercy. Don't blame me." Bang. I kicked the door in. Chloe, naked, straddled Jesse. Seeing the knife she gasped in fake panic. "Sis, what's wrong?" Her face pretended terror, but her hips never stopped moving. I bared my teeth. "Jesse, that's your own daughter in there." Step by step I advanced. Jesse yanked the quilt over them. "Serena, are you insane?" I slammed the blade into the nightstand. Inches from his ear, Chloe screamed stark naked for help. I looked down at the two of them scrambling, my eyes blood red. "Yeah. I'm insane. Treat me like a maid." "Fine, I never complained. But Lily is your flesh and blood. Do you even have a heart? She's so good. She never cried once. How could you?" I wrenched the knife free and pressed the tip to his chest, right over the bruises she'd left. His pupils dilated in pure terror. "Tonight I'm carving it out to see what color your heart is." "Mommy." The racket had woken my daughter. She stood in the doorway, tiny feet bare on the cold floor. My knife thudded onto the bed. I smiled and said, "What happened today isn't ending here." "Ha!" I turned, scooped my daughter into my arms, threw a few outfits into a plastic sack, and walked out. Dolores was waiting in the living room, face like thunder. "Serena, you can leave, but don't you dare touch a single thing that belongs to this family. See for yourself." I didn't even own a real suitcase. I tossed her the grocery bag stuffed with clothes. She snorted and started rifling through it. "At least you know your place." She flung the bag to the floor like it was trash. I lifted my hand and slapped her twice. She reeled, dizzy. I picked up up the bag and left. Behind me she screamed, "Take your burden and get lost." At the hotel I finally rocked my daughter to sleep. I opened my phone and scrolled to the album. Inside were videos from our commitment ceremony, Jesse and me, and photos of him snuggled up with Chloe. I flicked through them until nausea clawed my throat. Every promise he made was only valid while love lasted. The boy who once saw only me had died the moment he chose to cheat. First thing next morning, I phoned a realtor, paid cash for a tiny 2-bedroom condo in a decent suburb, and filled it with new furniture and new clothes. I hit the salon for a hair treatment, then treated my daughter to a feast. I felt brand new. A "for rent" sign in the restaurant window next door caught my eye, and a crazy idea sparked. I leased the storefront, hired a sitter for my daughter, and oversaw every inch of the renovation, right down to the potted herbs. 2 weeks later, Bloom Thrive opened its doors. I hired a cashier and 2 servers, then posted the grand opening reel on my socials. Local followers poured in, raving about the flavors. We didn't lock up until after 10. Word kept spreading. The dining room stayed packed. I brought on 2 line cooks, taught them every recipe, and the machine ran smooth. Welcome. I was tallying receipts when the door chimed. I plastered on a smile and looked up. Well, Serena. Big shot now. Huh. Heard the food's killer, switched careers to chef. Jessie had an arm around Chloe. Her hand circled the swell of her belly. Gloating. I'd been there. I knew the look. Chloe was pregnant. I arched a brow. Welcome. You too, Jenny. Seat them. Special service. Jenny caught my tone, realized these were my deadbeat ex and his other woman, and guided them to the table nearest the trash cans. Chloe ordered, then demanded I cook it myself. I parked myself in the kitchen and played on my phone instead. When the last dish was dropped, I said, "That's the full order. Enjoy." "Sis, you haven't eaten. Sit. Join us." I wanted front row seats for whatever stunt she planned, so I pulled out a chair. She fished 2 crimson marriage certificates and a wedding invite from her bag. "Sis, I'm 2 months along, and the papers are signed. Ceremony's next weekend. You'll come, right?" I burst out laughing and took the card. "Congrats on true love. I wouldn't miss it." Fury flushed Chloe's cheeks when I didn't snap. "We're eating. Go away, sweetie. I sincerely wish you all the happiness," I said, laughing, then handed the shop keys to Jenny and marched to a law office. There I handed my lawyer the security footage, their photos, and my ceremony video with Jesse. He told me that since Jesse and I had held a public ceremony, lived as spouses, and shared a child, his new marriage license to Chloe counted as bigamy. On their wedding day, I showed up. The spectacle was over the top. The city's priciest hotel ballroom in downtown LA, an $18,000 dowry, every surface drowned in blush pink roses. The processional began. Chloe glided down the aisle in her wedding gown, radiating triumph. Jesse teared up the instant he took her hand. "Exchange rings," the officiant boomed. Jesse slipped on the dazzler, nothing like the simple silver band we'd used at our ceremony. Standing there, I mocked myself. It had never been can't afford, only a not worth it. When the vows wrapped, I slipped to the restroom, then collided with Victor and an auntie pawing each other in the corridor. Victor wasn't even 50. The woman looked younger than Dolores, well-preserved and flirty. I recognized her from Dolores's book club. She clutched his sleeve. "I'm pregnant, so what now?" My phone nearly hit the floor. I hit record. Victor laced his fingers through hers. Exasperated. "I'm almost 50. And today's Jesse's wedding. You know that. I don't care. I'm keeping it. Your savings aren't all going to Jesse. This baby's yours too." Victor yanked a card from his jacket, snarling, "I don't want it. Get rid of it," and stormed off. The woman stood there clutching the card. I opened WhatsApp to Dolores. Our last message was her spitting, "Bitch, let's see how long you survive out there." No hesitation, I tapped the video and hit send. When I came back from the bathroom, the scene had exploded. Dolores had the other woman by the hair. "Linda, you backstabber. We've known each other for years and you steal my man." Victor stood to the side, afraid to break it up. Relatives circled like they'd paid for front row seats. Dolores spun and redirected the fury at her husband, kicking him square in the shin. Jesse's eldest aunt yanked her away. "Men will be men, Dolores. Close one eye and the storm passes." The words sounded familiar. Dolores opened her mouth, but Jesse's second aunt beat her to it. "A man playing around outside is normal. Be grateful he doesn't bring home a disease." I pushed through the crowd and mimicked their preachy tone. "Mom, when Jesse was out there chasing women, you were the one slipping him cash. If you'd kept Victor satisfied, he wouldn't have run to Auntie Linda. You should copy me. I let Jesse move Chloe into our house. Follow my example." "Mom," Dolores jabbed a thumb at me. I beamed. "Makes sense, right?" She couldn't take it. Her body snapped upright, then toppled backward like a felled tree. "Mom," Jesse's panic panicked shout tore through the hall. Chaos swallowed the banquet. See, a needle doesn't hurt until it pricks your own skin. I stepped to Chloe and smoothed a strand of hair from her forehead. Little Chloe, from now on you'll tend your in-laws properly, just the way I used to, every detail perfect. She pictured the dog's life I'd lived and went paper white. I gave her my sweetest smile. Paramedics arrived. The party disintegrated. I hoisted my purse, flicked my hair, and walked out chin high. Half a month later I returned, this time with a lawyer and 2 cops in tow. Jesse was flailing over a frying pan. Chloe lolled on the sofa popping grapes. Blisters blossomed on the back of his hand. Boiling water. Clearly, yet she never looked up. Just ordered him to keep cooking. After Dolores's stroke left her partially paralyzed, Victor moved Linda straight into the master bedroom. Dolores was demoted to the spare bedroom I'd once shared with my daughter. Linda, Chloe's mirror image, swaggered in daily to flaunt victory, while Dolores lay mute and motionless, unable to manage alone. Jesse told Chloe to help. She refused, so he turned nurse himself. Bigamy voided any claim Jesse thought he had. Half of the marital property was legally mine. While the lawyer talked numbers, I walked to that back room. The stench hit first. Dolores strained toward the bedside cup, fingers clawing air. When she saw me, tears streamed, pleading, desperate. Thirsty? I asked sweetly. She nodded. I poured the water onto the floor. She thrashed, eyes boring into me like she wanted to tear me apart with her gaze. But she couldn't rise. I laughed out loud. Call your brand new nurse. Why don't you? Since coming home from the hospital, Chloe had repeatedly called her a burden to her face. Jesse used to protest. Eventually he said nothing. Maybe he agreed. Dolores stared, pitiful and wide-eyed. I kept twisting the knife. Hard to swallow when the shoe's on your foot. Huh? Her eyes slid shut in defeat. I set the empty cup back, dusted my hands, and strolled out. The lawyer had wrapped things up. Chloe slumped on the sofa, complexion gray. Ms. Vance, full custody of Lily goes to you. The marital property, including this house, is 50% yours. I extended my hand, grinning, pleasure doing business. Police cuffed Jesse and marched him out. Chloe bolted. Curiosity sent me after her. She stopped at the next building. Derek, Jesse's buddy who'd introduced him to the escort, opened the door. I thumbed a record. More juicy content. Jesse's arrested. Bigamy. What do I do? She blurted. Derek stayed blank. I chased you for months, but you went for him. Now you crawl here. Count the weeks. This baby's yours. You won't walk away. He sneered. I was blackout drunk. Whether anything happened is your word against my hangover. You married Jesse. Heaven knows how many times you slept together. Don't pin this on me. The door slammed. Her last lifeline snapped. I'm still young. The dowry was 18 grand. I can abort and start over. She rubbed her small bump, muttering to herself. Besides this house, Jesse had 0 savings. With half now mine, the place would be auctioned and the proceeds handed to me. Afraid Chloe would blow the cash before he got out, Jesse signed everything over to Victor. Victor pocketed the money cheerfully, dumped Dolores in a cut-rate nursing home in Arizona, divorced her, and flew off with Linda to Florida. Chloe, official wife for all of 5 minutes, got nothing. Next afternoon I was swamped at the bistro when she shuffled in. Bloodshot eyes, knotted hair, chipped acrylics, 5-day hangover chic. She dropped to her knees right by the pastry case, sobbing. Serena, I asked around, this place is yours. I just married Jesse and you sent him to jail. Please, I'm begging you, have mercy. The money for our wedding and the dowry he gave me were both borrowed from relatives. I'm carrying Jesse's child. You're a mother yourself, so you must understand how I feel. I don't mean any harm, I just want some security for my baby. Please, take pity on my unborn child. The moment the words left her mouth, she started begging me profusely. Every guest lowered their forks and pointed fingers at me. She just got married and already locked her husband up. I eat here all the time. The owner seems so gentle. Who knew she was this kind of person? Look how pitiful that girl is. She must be 4 or 5 months along. Tisk. I'm never coming back. Food's good, but the owner's heart is black. When Chloe first dropped to her knees, I was stunned, but by now I'd figured it all out. Jesse was in prison, so the creditors could only chase Chloe. Those relatives were no saints. I'd tangled with them before. The dowry had probably already been repaid, but a wedding that lavish still cost a fortune. With no job, how could Chloe ever pay it back? Everyone, quiet. I unhurriedly took a sip of water and cleared my throat. Sorry for interrupting your meals. The man this young lady is talking about, Jesse, was my husband, well, ex-husband. She broke up our marriage while I was still in that house. She showed up with her suitcase and moved right in. In fact, act. I waited on her hand and foot for quite a while. I paused deliberately. The diners hung on my next words. Chloe tried to stand and slip away. I firmly pressed her back into the chair and said sweetly, "Sit down, sis, you're pregnant." She struggled, but I held her tight. When the crowd realized she was the other woman, disgusted looks flew her way. I dabbed at pretend tears. I moved out with my daughter, and Jesse didn't give us a dime. After I left, this darling even hand-delivered a wedding invite so I could attend their ceremony. I went, and I brought a $250 gift. Chloe's face went white. Who knew they'd reap what they sowed? They committed bigamy, and off he went to jail. The diners swung to my side. The same people who'd called me vicious now cursed her twice as hard. Pushed. Where does a homewrecker get the nerve? That money's hers by right. What gives you the right to ask for anything? Friend, you're wrong, I said. Since they filed the marriage license, their family, this girl loves the baby in her womb. She'll absolutely give birth in peace and wait for her husband to come home. Yeah. Exactly. I let go. Chloe shot to her feet and stormed out. She wanted an abortion, but my father-in-law promised her $100,000 if she delivered the baby. For that money, 4 months later Chloe gave birth to a boy in a crummy studio in Vegas. New mom nerves freaked her out, and the baby's non-stop wailing drove her insane. The minute her postpartum recovery period ended, she dumped the infant on my father-in-law and demanded cash. He reneged, claiming he'd never said such a thing. As shameless as she was, she couldn't outshame him, so of course she got nothing. Chloe left town to land a bigger fish. 2 months later, Linda gave my father-in-law a son. Jesse gained a baby brother. 2 years zipped by. My daughter was 4 now. I gave her the best I could, making up for all I'd missed as a kid. My own half-brother fell for gambling, and my mom lost everything. She came asking for a loan. I told her calmly, "I'm broke." She sued me, demanding a lump sum payment for child support up to my 18th birthday. It didn't go her way. Jesse was released when he learned Chloe had vanished. He came crawling back. He somehow dug up my address. When I saw him, he looked a decade older, cradling Chloe's child in his arms. Not yet 30. He looked 35. "Serena, can we start over?" His plea didn't sound like begging at all. After everything, I saw the light. Jesse and every single one of them were selfish to the bone. I shut the door on him. We split the moment you first sexted someone else. By the way, there's a video you might find interesting. I showed him Chloe and Derek's conversation from 2 years ago. Jesse watched, hugged the kid, and bolted. To my shock, the boy was Derek's. Jesse and Derek fought like dogs until Derek paid him 20 grand to take the child. With a record, no degree, and 0 skills, Jesse couldn't land a job anywhere. He drank himself stupid every day, got in a brawl, and crippled a man. My father-in-law, busy with his second son, refused to pay damages. Back inside he went. I stood outside the elementary school. My daughter ran to me, laughing. "Mommy, I want your braised pork again tonight." "Sure, sweetheart, whatever Lily wants. Mommy will cook." Thanks for listening to today's story. If you liked it, hit like and share with friends. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more. See you next time.